Is a DSLR or mirrorless camera, like the one I'm filming this on, really necessary for making good free running content? Or is what's in your pocket not only more practical, but maybe even ideal in certain situations? Let's find out. What's going on, guys? Jeremy here from Focus Flow, and welcome to the first episode of Filming Free Running, the series where we take an in-depth look at how to take your free running tricks and lines and convert them into high-quality videos that you can then post to social media. In this series, we're going to try to cover both the technical gear portion of filmmaking, such as what camera should I buy, what specs should I look for, gimbals, stabilization, all that sort of thing. But we're also going to try to cover the more artistic side of filmmaking, such as which angles to film at and when and how to use dynamic camera movement. Now, I realize that there are a ton of filmmaking YouTube channels that teach stuff just like this, but what's going to separate this series from those is the fact that it's going to be all through the lens of filming free running specific videos. So this should apply to other action sports as well, but you'll find that there's a lot of aspects in filming free running that don't apply to more traditional filmmaking or wedding videography and stuff like that. But with that all being said, let's get into the main topic of this video, which is why I think phone cameras are not only good enough to film free running videos, but also why I think they hold several advantages over DSLR and mirrorless cameras just like this one. With this video, I hope to show you that the average smartphone camera is a really good tool for making free running videos and give you some actual reasons for using it other than you can't afford something better. So the first advantage of a smartphone camera is how small and portable they are. You can put this in your pocket, you can take it anywhere with you, and nobody's gonna kick you out because you're filming on an expensive camera. What's also great about phones is that not only are they designed to be small enough for you to take them wherever you wanna go, but generally speaking, you do take them wherever you go because it's a phone, it's not just a camera. So anywhere you are, chances are you have a really nice camera with you at all times. And that's one thing that you'll probably notice a lot over the course of this video is how convenient the phone is. Honestly, when filming, and especially when filming action sports video, when you're not just focused on getting the clip, but also trying to have a good time and trying to train, convenience is king. It really can't be overstated. This is why plenty of people who already have professional video equipment, such as cameras like this, and even cameras that cost 10 times this much money, still opt to choose to shoot some of their videos on their phones because it's more convenient. So don't overlook the importance of convenience when it comes to filmmaking, especially when it comes to free running. So the second advantage of phone cameras is the ease of use. Keep in mind that phone manufacturers designed these smartphones to be for the average consumer. And because of that, you have a very simple and easy to use interface, which allows you to just select video, start recording, and there you go. And not only that, but because it's your phone, you're probably already familiar with how to use it, as opposed to getting a camera in which you have to learn how to use these types of settings. And that brings me to the next point of ease of use, and that is the auto settings. Auto settings on phone cameras are superb nowadays. They allow you to get really good looking footage right out of the camera, and the camera takes care of all the settings that are responsible for that footage. If you don't know what shutter speed, aperture, ISO, white balance, and much more settings like that are in a camera, and you don't know what they do or how they affect your image, then you can already tell how important it is and how impressive it is that these phone cameras allow you to get those things pretty on point most of the time. So here you have a really horrible looking shot, and this is just to simulate the fact that we're gonna have to adjust all of these parameters in order to get the shot that you were just looking at before. So we're gonna go in and adjust these settings one at a time, just so you understand how much stuff you have to do in order to get that good looking image. So first we adjusted the white balance so the colors look a little bit more realistic. So now we adjusted the shutter speed so that you get the proper amount of motion blur. But this shot is way overexposed because adjusting the shutter speed also makes the image darker or lighter. So now we really turn down that ISO to get a better exposure and a lot less noise in the image. So now we're starting to look a lot better than we were before. Now we finally adjusted the aperture of the camera so that we get that nice blurry background. And now we have a properly exposed, real life motion blur shot that looks natural and pretty good, except for one thing. You see, I filmed this in a very flat color profile, which makes it look pretty ugly at first because all of these colors are washed out, as you can probably tell. And the reason I do this is so that I can take this footage, and once I put it on my computer, I have much more range to work with the colors and do what I want with them. So after adding the color grade, this is the type of shot we get, and it looks pretty nice. But this is just to go to show you how much work goes into getting a shot like this, and this can be even harder because if this lighting changes, if the sun goes outside of these clouds right now, then I have to readjust the white balance. If I go indoors, then I'm gonna have to completely readjust the exposure and white balance and all of those things. So it's important to know this kind of stuff if you want to get into more advanced cameras like this. Now, a common argument against this would be, don't DSLRs and mirrorless cameras like the one I'm shooting on have auto settings? And the answer is yes, they do, and oftentimes they actually do work really well. But the point is, in order to get the best results out of it, you really want to know how to use your camera manually so that you can control all the aspects of your image in order to get you the results that you want. So if you're someone who's not really into filmmaking itself and just wants to post decent looking footage for your free running videos, then I would honestly stray away from cameras because you can just stick to what's on your phone and have pretty good results. Maybe even upgrade your phone in the future. The fourth advantage of phone cameras, and this is actually something that's not really convenient, it's just a pretty good advantage, is that it's easier to get better specs in them than, say, a camera like this. And what I mean by that is this iPhone SE right here, it's about half the price of an iPhone 11 Pro, and you can shoot 4K at 60 frames a second. You can shoot 1080p at 240 frames a second with autofocus and audio recording. And the reason I bring that up is because this camera right here, this can shoot only 1080 and 120 frames a second, and it can't do autofocus or audio recording when shooting in that mode. Furthermore, it can only go up to 4K at 30 frames a second, which is significantly less than 4K 60, and you don't get any real slow motion capabilities out of it in 4K. Yes, although those specs are technically worse, you still are going to get better image quality out of those resolutions. The 1080p out of this camera, for instance, is generally going to look better than the 4K out of my phone camera. But the fact that you can shoot in these higher frame rate modes with your camera that aren't even accessible with this camera, that's a pretty big advantage, and I think it's worth noting. Another thing to note is, yes, they do make cameras that are able to shoot in those specs that my phone listed, but in order to get those, you're spending significantly more money. We're talking generally multi-$1,000s to get a whole kit that's gonna enable you to shoot in those types of settings. So moving on to the fifth advantage of using phone cameras is that the accessories are significantly cheaper than those designed for more professional cameras. Gimbal stabilizers, filters, additional lenses, all those things are going to be significantly more expensive for dedicated cameras like these as opposed to your smartphone. Just for reference, this gimbal right here, which is designed for my camera and cameras like it, cost me $400. You can get a gimbal for your phone for around 70 bucks. And that advantage really shouldn't be ignored because a big part of getting usable and good footage is not just within the camera itself, it's the accessories that you use and how you use them in order to achieve those shots. For instance, I could have a good and relatively sharp looking image out of this camera, but if I can't afford any type of stabilizer or gimbal and my footage comes out shaky because of it, then it renders the footage useless. So when it comes to buying a camera or using the one you already have, you shouldn't just consider the price of the body and maybe a single lens. You should really be taking into account accessories that are going to be compatible with it. And that's just another reason why phone cameras can be very beneficial to use. And the sixth and final reason why phones have a huge advantage over dedicated cameras is that they can be a one-stop shop for your entire video making process. Let's not forget that the camera attached to your smartphone is attached to a smartphone, which means you can do so much more than just record video of this. I started off my YouTube channel with just my phone, and when I say just my phone, I mean just my phone. I filmed, edited, and posted all my videos through my iPhone 6. Well, this is an SE, but I started with a 6S. Now, my videos weren't particularly good because I was just starting out, but my point is that you can have editing software and the social media platforms you need to post on directly through your phone. And this can really speed up your workflow for a multitude of reasons. One, when I'm filming videos on my smartphone, it's being directly recorded onto the same hard drive that I'm gonna be editing on, which is the SIM card for the phone. Then I edit all that footage from the SIM card on the phone, and then I post it from the phone to social media. All of that happens on the phone. To give you some reference, when I make anything on my camera, I record it onto the camera, which gets recorded onto the SD card that's in the camera. I take that SD card, put it into my computer, then download the SD card footage onto my computer. Then I import the footage that's on my computer into Adobe Premiere, which is expensive editing software. I edit all that footage, export it back onto my computer in a final format, and then I post that video onto Google Drive, which I can then retrieve it from my phone so I can post it to Instagram, because Instagram doesn't like you posting camera footage from your computer directly to the site. It makes you do it through your phone. I don't know why. Anytime I post a video, either it's YouTube or Instagram, I go through that same process. Well, other than YouTube, because I can post it from my computer, so it doesn't have to go back on my phone. But either way, the process is still miles more tedious than anything you could do on your phone. And that's a big reason why you see even bigger YouTubers who can afford all this equipment still post a lot of stuff from their phone, because it's just a lot more convenient. All right, guys, so that about covers it for all the advantages of phone cameras versus DSLR, mirrorless cameras, all that sort of things. I might have missed a few, and of course there are advantages to shooting on cameras like this, otherwise I wouldn't have spent all the money doing it. But for a lot of people, those advantages shouldn't and don't outweigh the pros of the convenience of shooting on your phone. Really, the purpose of this video was to inspire you guys to get out and start shooting your free running no matter what camera you had, because I see that in a lot of other filmmaking tutorials, people are always complaining, oh, what camera should I get? I can't afford this, how am I supposed to do anything? And the truth is, if you have any sort of smartphone, if you're watching this on a smartphone, which you probably are, then you have the ability to make good looking footage. So that's all for today, guys. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get around to answering them as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.